Since Dr. Machar has been charged with treason, terrorism, and crimes against humanity, from a legal standpoint, do these charges hold merit or are they politically motivated to weaken the opposition? I mean,
No, thank you. Thank you very much for having me and for us to discuss this very important but very unfortunate development in our country. In my opinion, and speaking also as a lawyer,
yeah.
I think the press statement that was issued outlining purported indictment of the sitting first vice president of the Republic of South Sudan is unlawful and it is politically motivated, dangerously destabilizing for our country, for peace, and for the region. The indictment violates, in my opinion, the tenets of the peace agreement, both in text, spirit. It also is inconsistent with the constitution, the transitional constitution of South Sudan, 2011 as amended. And of course, also inconsistent with the international human rights standards. So the entire process where I'm seated is really not about justice, in my opinion. It is about politics. Number one, for any charge to stand, the legality of that charge is important. Now, as you know, South Sudan right now operates transitional government of national unity that was put in place by a peace agreement. Now, that peace agreement creates a legal framework that supersedes our transitional constitution and any other laws that give effect to that constitution to the extent to which there are inconsistencies. And what that peace agreement provides, it provides for an executive that its members are appointed by their individual parties. So the president is appointed by SPLA-IG, that is SPLA in government, and the first vice president is appointed by SPLA-IO, that's SPLA in opposition. The implication of that is that the appointing authority, that is the hiring authority, is also the firing authority by virtue of the agreement.
Yeah.
And so you have a collegial executive where the president cannot exercise all the power of the executive without either consulting with the vice president prior to consultation or after consultation. So it gives you a parity of power within that particular executive. So there is no way that one partner, there's no junior partner, there's no senior partner in that executive, can unilaterally detain, investigate, and charge another party in the same agreement without resorting to the mechanism that has been established by that particular agreement. And I think that is important. And therefore, any act that has been purported to be done by the president that is inconsistent with this agreement and therefore inconsistent with the transitional constitution is null and void. So that's just from an agreement point of view. But if you look at the charges that the Minister of Justice also outlined, right? You have an issue of treason. Now, as a lawyer, treason certainly will entail that either the act or the omission of an individual constitute, it's inimical to the peace and security of a country, and therefore that person is actually in war against a particular country, right? So there is a unified sovereignty to which somebody is now challenging that uniformed sovereignty. There is one armed force, there's one executive, and you're fighting it. But in the case that we have today, there are two armies
Yeah.
Armies that are recognized by the peace agreement and
Yeah.
that are in the process of integration. Now, if there is a clash between those two armies, let's not even bring the issue of White Army into this, because the allegation is that the White Army operates as a subset of IO and therefore under the direct command and control of Dr. Riek Machar. That is the accusation. So we leave that for now. So even then, what is happening will be a confrontation between two armed forces within a transitional framework, within an agreement that should be resolved and should be investigated by citizens, which is a mechanism set in place for that, because it constitutes a violation of the terms of the permanent ceasefire. And the citizen and JMEC then are the appropriate body to investigate this, not Salva, not SPLA-IG, and not his executive. So it is probably the same thing can go on for murder or for terrorism. It's absolutely the same thing. So charges are ridiculous. There is again the question of due process. I mean, from a human rights perspective, right?
Yeah.
Before there were any charges against Dr. Riek Machar, he was placed under house arrest. Not just was he placed under house arrest, his wife was also placed with him under house arrest, excommunicado under house arrest. I'm beginning to think that detention is probably Salva Kiir's preferred tool for dealing with a rival that he has not politically defeated or militarily in warfare, because Riek Machar has literally just lived his life from 2013 to now, almost either detained in the city as Juba when he went back, or under house arrest in South Africa, and then from there to house arrest in Juba. And so that happened even before there were any investigation, before there were any indictment. So, of course, that is an arbitrary detention. And that is, of course, a violation of the transitional constitution and that of the agreement. The body that investigated this, purportedly investigated, because we don't know when this committee was constituted, who is the member of this committee, how they became a member of this committee, their terms of reference, the professionalism with which investigation were conducted, oversight, international, especially when you are charging somebody with an international crime. Crime against humanity. What was the international oversight? That we don't know that. So even that is a partisan process. Partisan process, of course, that is undertaken by one party to prosecute the other person, and or by virtue of that impartiality, that entire process is already problematic. It violates fair trial. It violates his freedom to liberty. So there are a number of processes, from legally speaking, that are problematic with this indictment.
The Justice Minister says the accused will get a fair trial, but many critics calls it as a kangaroo court based on South Sudan's judicial system, and also there has been that some articles are not accurate with the penal codes. So, do you believe that Machar and his colleagues will get a fair and transparent trial in South Sudan?
That is really a joke. Because one of the things that Salva Kiir did, and could be credit to him as his achievement, is that he destroyed the institutions of the state and replaced the institution of the state with himself. So Salva Kiir is the state is Salva Kiir. And parallel to those institutions of the state that he destroyed, he created personal institutions, from the militias that protect him, from the central bank that is his wallet that he can put his hand in at any time and take money, to the judiciary. And so the judiciary has not been, unfortunately, spared of the destruction of this. And this is not an indictment of men and women in the South Sudan judicial system. It's not an indictment on their professionalism, it's not an indictment on their capacity, it's an indictment on the system. That the court system, as we see now, they serve at the pleasure of the president. We have seen just a few months ago, the president unilaterally sacked the Chief Justice. Even though the Constitution says it is the Judicial Service Commission that has the responsibility for initiating that activity. All right. So the salva is the court. The court is salva, and salva is the one that is here trying to prosecute his own main political rival, trying to eliminate him even before the elections arrive, ensuring that he will not have a role to play. Which court in the country now that do not have the resources, they do not have financial resources. People have not collected their salaries in the judicial system for months. They don't even have a budget to function. There are no system to operate effectively. There is absolute endemic corruption in that particular system. You can go on to say that even there are issues of ethnic domination within the particular system. So how can you say that when a president has declared his main rival guilty, and it's that president that establishes this court, and now is going to the court as the other player in the football will go to the referee to tie the hand of the other team at their back so that he can kick it, that person, and you think the court will provide justice? That is a joke.